Anime keeps covering its characters' eyes. A hand, strand of hair, pair of sunglasses, blindfold. It happens often enough that it stops appearing to be a stylistic choice and becomes something closer to a rule. It is. It just isn't about fashion. The eyes are where Han, a person's real and unfiltered feeling, is supposed to leak through even when everything else is being managed. Cover them, and characters aren't just hiding a face. They're shutting off the last channel anyone else could actually use to read them. Sometimes it's shut off on purpose and stays that way for years. Sometimes it's to contain something too big to let out safely. And sometimes it doesn't get shut off by choice at all. It just goes dark. Japan has been building tools for the first version of this for over 600 years. Noh Masks, carved from cypress, are designed to show almost nothing on their own. A trained actor doesn't perform an expression on top of one. They tilt their head a few degrees, let the light fall across the carved features differently, and the same fixed mask seems to shift from serene to grieving without changing at all. Researchers have actually measured this. Change the angle of the shadow falling across a Noh mask, and the emotion an audience reads off it changes with it, even though the wood underneath never moves. The idea has a name, Yugen, beauty found specifically in shadow and restraint rather than in what's fully shown. Zeami, the actor and playwright credited with formalizing Noh in the 14th century, wrote the principle down directly. If hidden, it becomes elegant. Yoshimura understands the assignment perfectly, 6 centuries later. Tokyo Ghoul introduces him as the gentle, aging manager of a small cafe, quietly taking in creatures too dangerous or too broken to survive anywhere else in the city. His eyes stay shut through nearly all of it, the same permanently closed design fans nicknamed Kitsune, fox eyes, for exactly this kind of character. What the cafe is actually hiding is one of the strongest ghouls alive, and a secret he's carried for decades. That the city's most feared legend, a killer known only as the Owl, is actually his own daughter. He lets the blame and the danger fall on him instead, close enough to the truth that most people never look past him to find her. The mask comes off twice across his life, both times when the investigators hunting the Owl finally corner him directly, and both times he transforms fully, in front of everyone, into a ghoul powerful enough to make them believe the legend really was him all along. It isn't a slip. It's a father choosing, more than once, to be seen instead of her. Gendo Ikari runs the same trick through glasses instead of a permanent expression. Neon Genesis Evangelion casts him as the commander of a secretive organization fighting off apocalyptic monsters, and the distant, calculating father of the show's teenage protagonist. The show built an entire pose around him, seated, fingers steepled in front of his mouth, light catching his lenses at exactly the angle that erases his eyes completely. It happens specifically when he's scheming, which is often. In a flashback shown in episode 5, we see his glasses crack while he's saving Rei, a young pilot under his command, from a life-threatening malfunction, the one moment something underneath the performance actually breaks through. Rei keeps the broken pair afterward, like a keepsake of someone worth protecting. By the end of the story, the next incarnation of Rei picks up those same glasses without remembering why they mattered to her, starts to crush them in her hands, and stops, crying over a bond she can no longer even recall having. Not every version of concealment in Japan is about performance held indefinitely. Some of it is closer to a shield. In the 1980s, Japanese rock musicians built a visual language around a single covered eye. Certain visual K-bands made the asymmetrical fringe part of their signature identity. Hair deliberately uneven, one eye visible, one gone entirely, some maintaining the exact look for decades. The style carries a specific read. Covering one eye is meant to signal someone who has closed off part of themselves because they've been hurt. Japanese aesthetics doesn't treat this as a flaw either. Wabi-sabi, the philosophy that finds beauty in imperfection, has a term for it, fukinsei. Asymmetry, treated as something a design needs rather than something wrong with it. Anime borrowed the look directly off those stages. Character designers have pointed to visual kei by name as the source of the hairstyles, the androgyny, and the asymmetry running through entire genres of anime character design, not just the eye specifically. Gojo Satoru wears his blindfold as pure function first. Jujutsu Kaisen sets him up as the strongest sorcerer alive, a teacher tasked with protecting his students from curses that feed on human malice. His clan's inherited ability, the Six Eyes, processes cursed energy in such overwhelming, atomic detail that leaving it exposed constantly would burn him out. The blindfold, or the sunglasses he sometimes swaps in, filters it down to something survivable. The show treats the first time he actually removes it as a turning point in the story itself, not just a striking visual. When Gojo's eyes come out, everyone watching already knows the fight just changed shape entirely. The paradox sits right there in the design. Even fully blindfolded, Gojo still sees more of the world than almost anyone standing in front of him. The cover was never about blocking his sight. It was about surviving how much of it he actually has. Nier Automata builds the same idea into an entire uniform. Its leads, 2B and 9S, are androids fighting on behalf of what's left of humanity in a war against machine life forms, and both wear black visors that look exactly like blindfolds. The show's own director has said outright what they're for, shielding the wearer's eyes from a truth they aren't supposed to see yet. The operators who talk to them over comms wear veils across their mouths instead, an inverted version of the same rule: see no evil paired with speak no evil. Every time either android's visor comes off, it lines up with the most human, most emotionally exposed moment they have in that scene. Not every version of this ends with someone choosing to look away or choosing when to look back. Sometimes the mask isn't removed, it just breaks. Japan has a specific saying for the version that holds together for years before finally snapping. Ko de Waratte Koko ro de Naite, smiling face, crying heart. Gammon, enduring hardship without complaint or collapse, gets treated as a genuine virtue rather than stoicism for its own sake. But researchers who study emotional suppression across cultures keep finding the same warning attached to it. What doesn't get expressed doesn't just disappear. It gets buried alive, and it comes back later in uglier shapes than it started in. Hunter x Hunter spends an entire episode showing exactly what that looks like. Gone Freaks, a boy chasing his dream of becoming a licensed hunter, holds himself together through his mentor Kite's injury for as long as he possibly can, hoping there's still a way to save him. Right up until Neferpitu reveals Kite had been dead the whole time, his body only ever moving under Pitu's control. And the wait, the patience, the hope, all of it was for nothing. Gon's pupils go fully black. Not narrowed, not shadowed. Gone, replaced with something that has stopped performing composure because there's nothing left underneath it to perform with anymore. I don't care if this is the end, he thinks, right as his eyes finish their transformation. The episode is regularly cited as one of the best in the entire series, not because of the striking fight that follows, but because the show earns the moment the mask finally comes off by force instead of by choice. Zeami wrote that hiding something makes it elegant, 600 years before anime existed to prove him right in 3 different ways. A permanent mask set down once, on purpose. A functional shield that comes off exactly when necessary. And a face that simply stops being able to hold its shape. 3 different reasons for the same missing pair of eyes. Only one of them was ever actually a choice. The mask doesn't always come off the same way. Sometimes it slips through a cup someone was never supposed to fill. That's Tuesday.